my friends of Cosmic AGC, I'm Gosia. This is going to be a little bit different. This video is going to be a bit different, and that is because I had Yazhi actually give this information around a year ago, still valid though, confirmed by Athena just a few days ago, about a year ago when we were just beginning this project with Gaia, and we were wondering what information we should give in the beginning, and it was decided that the first episode will be Who Are We as Taygetans. However, that episode is a bit out of date, not as fresh, because the contact keeps evolving and changing, and some things need to be updated. So this information Yazhi gave us a year ago, and it was never really used. I never used it in my channel, but I want to present it now to you in order for the newcomers and the newcomers that might be coming to know what's the more recent status of why are we here, and what Yazhi Swaruu has to say on the subject, because it has to be stated that Yazhi Swaruu is not the same person as Swaruu of Era, who was the one who gave us those early episodes, the episodes that appear on Gaia. So here you're going to have a little update on who we are. Also for the newcomers, I want to encourage you to go and check out my playlist of all the videos from the beginning, because this is so much there and so many videos. Also, I'm now making a new playlist according to different subjects like genetics, federation, general Taygetan information. I'm not done yet, but when I'm done, I'm going to announce all these different playlists. Now, don't go away anywhere. Finish the video until the end, because also in the middle of the video, I'm going to have a little surprise for you. So stay around for that surprise. Okay, enjoy the video.
Hello, Yazhi. About 4 years ago when we started, I already did the video about the reasons for you as a crew to be here, but I know a lot has happened since. A lot of things changed as well, and you understand things in a different light yourself. So please, let's go into it again, and let's use this opportunity as an update of the situation. Why you, Yazhi Swaruu, but also your Taygetan crew friends, are you here around Earth? Disclaimer. Before I go any further, I am writing English, so I must use English terms and English concepts. So specialized words are human terms and the best translation we can give you, not necessarily meaning we use the same concepts. Your language is all I've got to express any ideas or any information to you. Situation now. One large starship classified, using human terms, as a heavy cruiser. Also known as the flagship of the Taygetan fleet. She's 1,734 meters long, hull length, and 2,023 meters long total. She's not a disk. She's long and slender, bridge and living quarters at the bow and engines aft. Dark carbon black in color. May sound to you as a craft with lesser technological advancement than a classic disk, but very much on the contrary. She is very much state-of-the-art and above many other disk-shaped spacecraft. The disk shape in a spacecraft mostly has to do with distributing around the hull the electromagnetic force the engines create in a uniform way. This ship does not need to be a disk, as she uses superior technology. as in February 2nd, 2022. 28 Taygetans on board, 2 human, 3 Svarunians, total 33 people. Ugly number just by chance.
So at this point, I'm going to pause a video for a minute and have a little surprise for you. And this surprise has to do with the other surprise I already had for you during New Year's Eve time, and that was the photos of Aneka and Athena Swaruu. Well, here today we're going to continue sharing some more photos. Yes, that's right, since we are talking about crew members at this point of the video. The photos are given in order for you to be able to relate to them a little more, in order to, to put the face to the information that is presented. And especially here, Athena Swaruu, I'm going to share a lot of different photos of her in the videos that will be coming, because she will be the one who is mostly in charge of this work right now. Just remember that it's their faces, it's their hair. The uniforms are not theirs, that's CGI. Something to remember and consider that there are a lot of Federation filters put in place, so the photos normally do not go through the real photos of them, especially if it's something with a background, with a real background, because the Federation has in place certain types of filters, so no non-terrestrial information can pass through towards the terrestrial realm. So Athena has to do some work here around the photos in order for them to pass through. However, not more can be said, because we don't want to reveal the tricks that she is doing in order to pass those filters. And now I'm going to actually explain to you each photo, how much work has been done, and if it's a real photo or if it's a modified photo. Okay, so let's begin. Well, this is Yazhi Swaruu. This is a modified photo of her. Now this is Minerva Swaruu, Swaruu 11, so-called. This is also modified. This is modified but based on her, based on how she really is. And yes, Minerva Swaruu has very dark eyes, almost black. Dhor Kaalel, this is a real photo, real face. This is how he is. A photo is a bit overworked, perhaps. Now this is Raguel. This is also his face, real photo, also a bit overworked. Naishara, this is her, and it's minimum work that has been applied to this photo. Aneka of Temer, you already know her, real face, real photo, moderate work has been applied. And Athena Swaruu also, real face, moderate work, and some other photos that I will be sharing also in the future, real, bold and direct photos. Sometimes even the background comes through if it's plain and there's nothing to it. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this surprise. Now let's continue with the video, because yes, he has a lot more to share.
At first, and in general back home, Taygetans were told that their presence would be necessary around Earth to help enforce the Federation's efforts to liberate the planet from negative control, oppression, and exploitation. But as we already explained in many videos, things on Earth are not so simple. It is a very complex situation. Taygetans have been or visiting Earth for at least 12,500 years, but probably since even further back, and have influenced countless societies and cultures on Earth ever since. For example, the Egyptian, Sumerian, Scythians, Cimmerians, Eskimos, and Native American cultures, among others. Sometimes alone, and sometimes in cooperation with countless other races not from Earth. Other times, only visiting in small numbers. Very recently, in the year 1919, a larger detachment of Taygetans came to Earth as an expeditionary force to observe and to try to influence the course of human society towards a positive direction. After World War II, and being able to see the development of further problems on Earth, a second larger wave of Taygetans arrived around Earth in 1952, also with a desire to guide and foment a more positive future for humankind. In general, the wish or the mission of Taygetans has always been that of furthering, seeding, or guiding spiritual, moral, and ethical development on Earth. After those two missions that were more inclined to try to influence governments directly, even working with them to guide and influence them in a positive way, the Taygetans noticed that it was not the right way, as the governments basically ignored them or just exploited them to learn or to obtain technological advancements, especially for military purposes. The first and second expeditions, 1919 and 1952, were led by Raguel of Temer, trying to work directly with governments. Both failed. So in the mid-1970s, a new approach was sought after. It was supposed to be a slow filtering of information using a civilian contactee to seed information and spiritual concepts onto Earth that would, in theory, serve as guidelines for a more harmonious and just social structure on Earth. Although some of the objectives were achieved, it was clearly not enough, and it met with failure again due to the distortion of the information the very contactee made or did, only thinking of how to gain financial benefits and notoriety with his story. However, we do accept that many good things came out as the result of that contact or project. There was almost no Taygetan presence on Earth other than small expeditionary or reconnaissance craft since around the year 1980 to the year 2008, when an entire Taygetan fleet arrived in Earth's orbit. The intention of the fleet was planetary liberation, and they were ready to intervene directly, even in a military way, if necessary. The concept was that the situation on Earth was a planetary hostile takeover by a regressive race invading helpless humans. Also, it was said that it was a time of change and of awakening for the human race, where they all were to realize that they were free star people themselves, and they would ascend from the 3 density to the 5th density. As time went by, and from 2008 to 2016, the Taygetans started a Federation experiment called Project First Contact, where they would enter social media using replicated or copied human digital computers, sometimes even some original machines abducted from different places, and also used to copy them for the use of other crew members. This project was supposed to define and establish how ready humans in general were for any kind of direct contact. This as a race or a culture, not assessing individual people. It was cancelled in late 2016 as the team only encountered problems in a large scale, with very few exceptions. People, generalizing, were simply not ready, and even worse, not even interested. From 2016 to the end of 2017, the Taygetans were in a period of re-evaluating the situation and how to proceed next. It was found that a large fleet was not necessary, only a waste of time and resources. So it was determined that only one ship should stay near Earth, and all the work would be done through it. And only one flagship remained under the guidance of Alenim of Temer. Now, although having contact with some Earth governments at one or another level, Taygetans returned to the initial strategy of seeding information and spiritual concepts to aid and foment a global-scale spiritual awakening, working through civilian people. Taygetans and I no longer can see the situation on Earth as simply an exploitation problem of the powerful over the weak. On one level, that is so, undeniably. But the inner causes, the root of the problem, is far more complex. We feel that spiritual guidance is the key to a positive growth of any social group, culture, or race. So seeding information and concepts is still our common primary role. We are well aware of the principle that states that the higher in spiritual development, ethics, and morality a people is, the lesser government they need. But we also stay here for our own personal reasons, because we feel we can help with the situation on Earth in general. Whatever small our contribution may be, we are happy with it. We help because it is the right thing to do. The only thing we can do because we feel we are already involved, as we have been here for long, talking to people we care about. Not only the ones that we talk to directly, but also those who we touch indirectly. We stay here for them, fully knowing that not everyone will or even can listen to us. We cannot simply go away and turn blind eye towards the problems happening on Earth. It is simply not right and not concurrent with our principles. Part of how so-called positive races alter a civilization like the one on Earth that has a lot to learn and develop, especially spiritually, is with the advent of star seeds, That is, that be it from higher realms over which Taygetans don't have control, or with the use of complex immersion avatar-like technology, people's consciousnesses are inserted into the planet to work from below as a human being and not human. Some are conscious of the fact, others aren't. Some remember and others do not. This depends mostly on the wishes of the person incarnating on Earth. This is said to be one of the most efficient ways to influence a culture from within, also still observing cosmic or federation rules and laws, like the one of no intervention or the now infamous Prime Directive. The concept of law called Prime Directive has been exploited in science fiction on Earth, but is based on a very real one, operating and governing nearly all stellar races outside Earth and on Earth. I also must state that the concept of starseeds is not exclusive of Earth, and goes on extensively throughout the entire universe as one of its basic principles that forms it all. The immigration of souls is widely spread and natural all over the known universe. Some starseeds are tagged and are followed closely by the races they represent. Others not so, and are basically on their own. They may have a precise mission to accomplish while on Earth, and others may only be there on their own for their own reasons. Most of the time, the mere existence of a starseed on Earth is enough to alter its environment in a positive way, not needing to do anything other than follow his or her life as they wish. Another primary role of the Taygetan ship in Earth's orbit now is to monitor and support in whatever way possible the population of starseeds of the Taygetan people, and if possible, also give support to other starseeds of whatever culture or race. The help is mainly through guidance, as the no intervention laws forbid other kinds of direct help. Yazhi, thank you. Are the reasons for which you are here the same ones why other ET races are around too? Each race will have its own reasons, but most share the same ones. They are not created equal, and there are many disagreements among the races, even though they all call themselves to be positive. Another problem related to this is the fact that the concepts explained on Earth about densities and planes of existence are mostly wrong, and we do not agree with many of them having another kind of understanding. This also prompts disagreement with other races who hold their own ideas and cosmology. But the intention is the same one: to help, to guide growth, to lessen suffering. Is one of the reasons to propel the human race into the interstellar existence, together with all of you stellar families? What about disclosure? Isn't that something you are here for as well? To become more open with the people as a race, more officially? At first, the First Contact project was meant to establish how ready people on Earth were for overt disclosure, where stellar races would come out in the open and all the public would suddenly realize that they are not alone in the universe. This was a very naive way of thinking for us all here. Humans in general are so mind-controlled and so programmed into thinking a very precise and controlled way that they simply would dismiss us and wouldn't even see our existence as of any relevance. What humankind understand as possible, as fiction, as anything real, is carefully imprinted on them since a very early age by the powers at be on Earth for their own control and power-retaining reasons. The mere fact that any stellar race or races would be understood or seen as real would cause a chain reaction that would destabilize their power structure. The simple fact that other people exist outside Earth would mean that the theory of evolution of Charles Darwin is false, and the realization that stellar races are around Earth now also would render Earth's physics as false as well. Also, if stellar races exist, then so does free energy, as that is what they all use, and that logically would also cause a collapse of the power industry on Earth, and with it, just about all excuses to create scarcity to control the population. That would mean that the humankind would be free as a direct consequence of a complete disclosure. So we seriously doubt that any government on Earth would ever acknowledge the existence of any stellar race, advanced or not, much less of the ones already in Earth's orbit, and even less the ones in contact with some people on Earth. And they would do everything in their power to maintain the status quo, to keep control as it is, or, as we have come to see recently, to destroy all possibility of contact with all races from outside Earth. What I clearly see today is that in general, all is moving in the opposite direction to a disclosure event of official nature. What the powers at be want is more control, and disclosure would give them much less control, even to a catastrophic level. Okay. You said that one of the reasons for you to be here is to help, to guide us, to lessen the suffering. What do you think would be essential, most essential, for people to understand in this process? What is it that would mostly liberate their minds? What they most need is to realize that the governments, all of them, are not there to help them, much less to protect them in any way. They only care about themselves and their own interests. People should realize that governments, all of them, are a direct reflection or mirror of how people are. So the only way to transcend Earth's problems is to change the mentality of the entire population, increasing its empathy and its level of ethics and of spirituality. All to be able to take control over their own lives and full responsibility over their own thoughts and actions. As long as people on Earth delegate their power and control to other people, their problems will never be solved. They are stuck in a childlike mentality, where everything must be solved for them by a father or mother figure, religious leaders, spiritual gurus, prophets, politicians, school teachers, and so on. They must grow out of that mentality into a mature mental structure.
So this is it. This is what Yazhi had to share on this topic. And now, taking advantage of the question of what's important for the humanity to advance, I'm going to include a short Athena Swaruu's response to someone's question just recently. This is fresh, just recently. And that question was, what topics should be presented to the people in order to push them towards a more positive timeline? What area of life, engineering, geometry, mathematics, metaphysics, what kind of information is essential to move them forward? And this is what Athena Swaruu responded. This is like a week ago or so that it was given. Well, thank you very much. I'm not going to appear anymore in this video, so enjoy till the end, and until the next video. Bye bye.
Originally in Spanish. The most important information is impossible to pin down in a few words. Basically, it is everything that can empower normal awakened people. Above all things, to stop depending on authorities, be they political, spiritual, or of any kind. They must learn to stand on their own 2 feet in matters of decisions of what is expanded and personal reality. They must take control over their lives completely, without delegating and without giving the power to anyone to think for themselves. Any subject of knowledge that develops the human mind into a complex, holistic thinking mind with the ability and confidence to master any subject at hand, from advanced mathematics applied to engineering problems to advanced medicine of non-pharmacological origin. Any information that will make them non-dependent on the current system and opens their minds to realize that there is no objective reality, and only the reality that they form for themselves can exist. Thus also fostering the concept that there is no firm truth and no firm lie, but that both are facts or depend on the point of view and the context in which the situation or concept or idea is looked at and analyzed, thereby validating the rights of others. By deeply understanding the root of apparent differences between people, differences that would no longer be grounds for disputes or wars, but for mutual enrichment. The realization that nothing is fixed and reality, the valid, the true, is always changing and evolving with the expansion of personal and particular consciousness that will at the same time form the collective. Any kind of information that enriches and promotes holistic and integral knowledge, which in short is all the information that can be given freely so that it is there without prejudice of being valid or not, since from different perspectives everything is valid, but not always relevant or convenient for one or another individual or group of individuals. That's what I think is the most important thing to give. What frees the mind to stop relying on all kinds of authorities and experts, and to develop the ability to take the responsibility to think for themselves.